What's going on, gardeners? It's Sunday, October 10th, and today I want to share with you all 4 fruit trees that make fantastic edible landscaping that you can grow in very small residential plots and even in homeowners associations. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell to receive new video notifications, and check out our Amazon storefront and spread shop in the video description for a list of the gardening products I use and awesome custom designed apparel and other gear. Your support is greatly appreciated. The world that we live in is a rapidly changing place. Gone are the days where it's commonplace for people to own vast acreage and have their own farms and homesteads. The average plot of land that people own is becoming smaller and smaller as people migrate into more urban and suburban settings. I myself live in what has become a pretty typical residential plot in a suburb. I only own 1/3 of an acre, and when you deduct the footprint of the house and the front yard, it's really only about half of that. My neighborhood is also subject to HOA regulations, which is a homeowners association, and they are becoming more and more common. Homeowners associations can regulate the landscape that you're planting because they want all of the front yards of the house to have a very similar looking uniform curb appeal. Because of the lack of land and neighborhood regulations, many people believe that they can't grow fruit trees in their yard, but I'm here to tell you that is not the case. You probably have more land available for growing fruit trees than you think. In my homeowners association controlled subdivision, it's commonplace for every single house to be landscaped with these little ornamental but ultimately useless bushes all around their home. That is all available growing space. So instead of planting these utterly useless decorative bushes, why not rip them out and replace them with something that you can eat that blends in? The first fruiting plant that I'm going to show you is probably the greatest one of all to plant around your home, and that is the blueberry bush. And it's really for 2 reasons. Number one, it's one of the most widely adaptable fruiting plants in the world. You can grow them anywhere from zones 2 through 10 depending on the variety and the cultivar that you select, which means you can grow them pretty much anywhere outside of the tropics. And number 2, they are absolutely gorgeous decorative bushes. All of these homes already have bushes planted around them as part of their standard landscaping package, so why not replace them with a bush that is equally beautiful, if not even more beautiful? It will blend in completely, and it will also feed your family. The reason why these bushes are so great is because they're just that. Bushes. They have a very small, compact, shallow root system, so they won't threaten your foundation in any way, so they're safe to plant around your entire house. And because they're so easy to grow, they can give you buckets of fruit in place of the other decorative shrubs, which are pretty much doing nothing for you. To make your life easy, I just made a complete guide on how to select, plant, and grow blueberry bushes. That's probably the most complete guide on the internet, and I will make sure to link to that above to make it as easy as possible for you to be successful if you want to grow blueberries. But when it comes to plants that you plant around your home, they are pretty much impossible to beat. The next fruiting plant that is excellent to plant around your home as edible landscaping is the HOA, or the pineapple guava. And it's excellent as edible landscaping for many reasons that the blueberry is. Number one, it's a beautiful bush that will blend into any landscaping in an HOA. It has the most gorgeous flowers that you have ever seen, and they are very fragrant. And I will make sure to link to a video above where I show the fruit because it's very unique and delicious in its own right. It's also a great way to extend your growing season because they're not ready usually to eat until about November, so they're a great season extending plant. Just like the blueberry bush, they have a very shallow, small root system, so you don't have to worry about them damaging the foundation of your home. Now, HOA will grow anywhere from zones 8 to zones 11. So if you have a very cold zone, they won't work out well for you. However, this plant right here is an offspring from a mother tree that survived an 8-degree single-digit freeze in January back in 2018. So I know that this is actually hardy down to zone 7B once established, at least in warmer, more southern zone 7Bs. The third plant that is absolutely perfect for growing around your house as edible landscaping is the banana plant. Did I just lose a lot of you on that one? Maybe you're thinking, I don't live in the tropics, I can't grow bananas. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. Check out that sweet rack of bananas growing here in Zone 8A, North Carolina. And believe it or not, this is not all that impressive. This is my second rack of bananas off of this cluster of bananas this year, and the 3rd season in a row that this cluster of bananas is producing fruit for me. Growing bananas in Zone 8A or warmer for fruit is surprisingly easy, and I'll link to a video above that shows you exactly how I do it. All I do is I build a little cage around my banana pseudo stems once the first frost rolls in, and I stuff them full of straw, and that's enough insulation to get the majority of them through the winter undamaged. Now, if you live in zone 7 or colder, it will begin to be very difficult for you to grow bananas as fruit, as zone 8A is probably about the cutoff for this technique to work. However, there are several varieties of bananas that you can grow as beautiful landscaping. The fruit won't be edible, but they still look incredible. In fact, you can grow the Musa Bajou banana all the way down to zone 5. It can survive temperatures as cold as -20 degrees if you mulch the corm during the winter. The corm is the underground root system that the herbaceous pseudostems that make up what most people call the banana tree is. And the corm is very similar to what most people call a rhizome or a bulb. It is not made out of wood, so the roots are very, very soft. And for that reason, they are excellent to plant around your house, and they will not harm your foundation. And the fourth fruit tree that I think makes outstanding edible landscaping around your home are very specific bush type smaller citrus trees, such as the Meyer lemon and the key lime. You can also get away with small citrus bushes like this kumquat right here, and other bush type citrus like other lemons and limes and calamondins. And that's because these smaller citrus trees like your Meyer lemons and key limes don't grow into true trees. They grow more into like a shrub. So the root system stays very small, very compact, and very shallow, and it doesn't threaten your foundation the way that a true citrus tree can do. You do not want to plant a true full-size citrus tree up against your house because they can grow 20 to 30 feet tall or larger. So it's very important that you select these smaller type of citrus that are grown from cutting on their own roots, because something like a Meyer lemon will only grow to be about a 6 to 8 foot tall bush when growing on its own roots and not grafted. Now again, you might be thinking, I don't live in zone 9 or warmer, I can't grow citrus around my home. Again, you may be surprised to know that that's not exactly true. Did you know that there is a variety of citrus that is hardy all the way down to zone 6? That species is the trifoliate orange, and it is a deciduous citrus that can take severe freezes. It's also a very small dwarfing citrus that will only grow to be a few feet tall. So something like this actually makes an appropriate bush for around your home. Now the only problem is it is covered in absolutely vicious thorns. So once you place that citrus tree in ground, it will be hard to manage. However, the fruit that comes off of it is edible. It's not good for fresh eating because it's very, very seedy and can have an unpleasant aftertaste. However, it is frequently used to make very sweet lemonade if you don't mind adding a lot of sugar to it. However, because this trifoliate orange is so small, it's often used as rootstock to have a severe dwarfing effect on other citrus trees. This tree right here is an Owari Satsuma Mandarin orange tree, and Satsuma Mandarin oranges are already on the smaller size of oranges in terms of how big the tree gets, but this is grafted onto the trifoliate orange rootstock, which has an enormous dwarfing effect. This tree, believe it or not, is 4 years old and it's already about at its mature height, and it needs a big pruning. So once I prune this in the winter, it's going to come down to only be about this tall once I cut all of this obscene growth back. This is one of the hardiest varieties of great quality citrus there is, and when mature, can survive temperatures all the way down to zone 8A. Now it's fair to mention that this tree is planted pretty closely to my foundation, and this is more risky than the other 3 plants that I laid out for you, which are pretty much no risk to your foundation. However, like I said, this tree is about at its maximum height, and due to the climate limitations of my zone 8A climate, this is really the only microclimate in my yard I can grow this tree in. If you have a fenced-in backyard like I do, the fence line becomes the perfect place for you to grow edible landscaping. I have tons of bananas, tons of figs. I have a persimmon tree, another persimmon tree, pawpaw trees underneath shade cloth, and even more citrus trees in the rear, with plenty more to come. Even grapevines are possible, and I intend to add far more varieties of fruit trees along this fence line as the years progress. So if you have a fence line, that is the perfect place for you to grow your edible landscaping. And that right there are some of my absolute favorite fruit trees that you can grow around your home in small plots to really maximize your space growing food as edible landscaping. Now, even if some of the plants that I mentioned are not appropriate for your hardiness zone, say you're colder than I am and you can't grow some of these things for fruit, even if you just grow them as ornamentals, it will really make your house stand out from everyone else's, and they make fantastic conversation pieces for friends and neighbors. So everybody, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it helpful, please make sure to hit that like button and make sure to ring that notification bell so you're notified when I upload more videos like these. If you're curious about any of the products that I use in my garden, they're all linked down below in my Amazon storefront in the video description. Also check out my spread shop in the description for custom merch. Thanks again so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video.
Dale, what are you wearing? There's a giant lobster in my office. You look terrifying. Usually you eat seafood, you don't become seafood. Look at this. You look ridiculous. Dale, you put the crust in crustacean, buddy. You put the crust in crustacean. You put the crust in crustacean. Whoa, I'm being attacked by a lobster.